welcome to the Fit Dads Podcast. My name's Ryan Dutton. I'm joined by Brad Thompson, and today's episode is all about the best nutrition, fitness, and other various apps that you can have on your phone on the go that are going to really aid you with your fitness journey, helping you lose weight, build muscle, really crack your nutrition. But before we do that, guys, if you are enjoying the podcast, please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to grow our viewership, and we would love for you guys to be on board with us every week. New episode gets released every Friday, and thank you for that.
We absolutely love your feedback, and I suppose my quick first shout out is to Steve over at Station, because he always collars me and you, doesn't he, Big Steve?
Absolutely, yeah.
Always collars
Let's
me and
give
you.
Big Steve a good shout out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So be more like Steve. Feedback's welcome.
For sure. Let's get into a little bit of how's your week been, mate?
It's been good. I say it's been good. We've had a few Teddy tantrums. He's officially 4 now, so he seems to be very smart, but his little emotions can't seem to keep up with him, so we're at that stage right now. I'm not asking for your sympathies, because apart from that, he's been really good, man. So yeah, it's a struggle. My auntie and uncle actually took him to Build-A-Bear, which,
Lovely.
if ever you've took Harlow there, or
I've walked
been
past
before.
it, but it always looks a little bit too intense for me.
Yeah, it is intense.
A lot of queuing, a lot of kids, very impatient kids.
Yeah.
A lot going on.
It is intense, but my auntie and uncle took Ted. So delayed birthday present, so they've took him, absolutely spoilt him rotten, and they give you like this little birth certificate at the end. So he's come home and he's like, Daddy, I've got this bear. I said, oh, amazing, let me have a look then. Really cool bear. Looked at birth certificate. I'm like, have you called your bear Tony? He went, yeah. I went, why?
It's a random name.
Just Tony the bear, Tony the Ted.
Brilliant.
I'm
Love
like,
that.
"Right, okay then. So
I wonder if your auntie and uncle had some input in that.
I feel like it's my uncle's doing that. Yeah, I feel like he wants I don't know.
Are you Wednesday United?
United.
If it was me, I'd call him Owl. This is my bear, Owl.
Unless it's after Tony Curry, actually. Yeah, that could be it. United legend.
Was
But,
it? Okay.
Could be.
You'll have to dig a little bit deeper there.
I'm going to dig. But no, apart from that, mate, you been all right?
Yeah, good, mate. We had a nice weekend away with the family. It was Amy Sally family went to Wales, and it was everything you would expect in a family trip. We had fallouts over quizzes, people at each other's necks. Lots of people were accusing the other people of cheating. Phones are out. It's hard for a quiz nowadays, not too easy phone, isn't it?
It is.
But we had some amazing, it was right on the bay, Red Wharf Bay, and there's some lovely walks around there. Views are amazing. Definitely ate and drank a little bit more than I would like, but phenomenally actually. I probably 3 or 4 days of overeating. Came back, got away with one. You know, you get away with one sometimes.
Yeah.
Jumped on the scales Monday morning, hadn't gone up at all, hadn't changed. I don't know how that's happened. No idea. But it happens sometimes. I've had it happen with clients before. I'm sure you're the same, where they come in and start reeling off all these things they've done. You're thinking this could be 2 or 3 kilos up this, and they jump on. They're exactly the same. But we moved a lot. I did train a couple of times while I was out there as well. There was a nice gym. I even went into the ocean actually, because we were right by the bay. So one morning we were sat there and I was having my breakfast, and I just turned to my right. I seen a guy in his Speedos, and he wasn't in the water, but he was walking away from the water, and had a little towel on the rock, and he walked over, grabbed his towel, started drying himself off. I'm like, has he just walked out the water? It must be absolutely Baltic in there. And then I kind of just started going through my mind thinking, actually, I wouldn't mind giving that a go. And I'll tell you why I thought that, because I'd been to the gym the morning of, and it was a fitness first. And I walked in, the guy says to me, you having a day pass? I said, yeah. He goes, you're not going to use the pool, are you? I said, no. He goes, well, we've had a bit of issue with the temperature. It's Baltically freezing, so you can go in there if you want, but it's not for, the faint-hearted. And I said to him, I'm a bit more of a warm weather man. I'm not, if it's too cold, then everyone will be going there anyway. And he goes, he didn't say I was a pussy, but in other words, he basically called me out and goes, you pussy, and he said he was telling me how he has an ice bath every night, and it really wakes him up, gets him charged up, which is funny in the night time. I'm not sure why he was doing it in the evening. But anyway, he said to me, you should try some ice bath stuff. It is really good. And then literally the morning of, seeing this guy walking out the ocean, I thought, I do fancy giving it a go. So the first guy that came out was Amy's uncle, and I said, fancy going for a dip in the ocean? Kind of almost expecting to be like, don't be stupid. He just straight up turns around and goes, yeah, I'm down. And I'm like, oh shit, I've committed now. I can't back out of this. And then he goes, I'll get the other lads. And I'm thinking, right, I'm well in this now. So 2 other lads agreed to come down. We, and this is another story actually. So Anne brought on his shorts with me. So obviously no one had, so we're all wearing our boxers. but I didn't have any other boxes available but white boxes.
White boxes, standard. Yep.
I bought me white boxes in there. Terrible choice. And it was that kind of cold where you walk in and the first few steps, your legs just go completely numb. And I'm like, oh, good God.
Yeah.
And your legs aren't too bad. Your feet, you can get up to like your shins, knees before you start thinking this is getting a little bit tasty now. And then it gets to like, you know, just below your balls, shall we say, and you're thinking, this is the moment now. We're going to have to go all in.
Have to commit.
And where it was in the bay, it didn't really get any deeper than like waist height. So at one point we had to like just all duck down
drop.
and go straight in.
Yeah.
But honestly, once you get in there, it's horrible for the first 90 seconds, 2 minutes, and then your body starts to heat up as a response to the extreme cold. And after a couple of minutes, it's like you don't even feel the cold anymore. It is odd. But then when you get out, you have this amazing sense of like the guy said behind the counter at Fitness First, you feel charged up, you feel really energized, you feel what's the best way I can describe it, like fresh. You know when you have like a fresh haircut, and you walk out the barber and you just feel like the dog's bollocks. You feel like that. It's the same kind of feeling, and I can see why it's addictive. I can see why people do these cold plunges quite frequently.
I was wondering how long it's going to take for you to get captured by this.
Really?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know why I thought, right, it's doing high rocks. His recovery.
I know exactly where you're going to go with this.
His recovery is going to have to be on point, and I'm thinking from like a functional standpoint, but I know what you're thinking.
He's becoming a hybrid wanker.
Which, no, I think for me, I looked at it and thought, do you know what? Good on you for trying it. Because it's a mental battle. And I love it when people say, oh, I could never do that. You're probably the person who needs to do it to like overcome like a mental barrier.
No,
so I'm glad you committed to it and just went for it.
I actually don't disagree with the guy at Fitness First. I am a pussy when it comes to like cold stuff. I really am. I've always been like that. I much prefer the winter, the summer over the winter. In the winter, I've got like even clients when I go outside sometimes, and I'll be doing walking lunges or something with them. You know, they're warm, but I'll be putting like 2 or 3 layers on just to go outside for a couple of minutes, and they're like, you don't need a coat and a jumper. I'm like, mate, you don't understand. I get really cold. So I think you're right. I probably do need to do more of it. And one of the first things I did when I got back was look at those quite inexpensive pop-up ice baths you can get. I think is it Lumi, the company that do like, you can get them for like 50-60 quid, I think, which is not bad.
I've got a code for one of them.
Have you? Oh no.
Which I'm not gonna be that guy. No. Use codes, whatever.
It might be the first time I've purchased something on the podcast.
But no, it's class. I've just actually noted down an app.
Okay,
to be fair,
amazing.
They could help with that.
Okay, cool.
But yeah.
Well, speaking of apps, shall we get into this episode about our kind of most used, our favourite apps that we use with ourselves and clients to kind of just give them the edge, essentially. Technology is massive when it comes to being in shape, and I think not enough people utilise it. You were saying before the podcast that you mentioned to a few clients and friends, like, what apps do you use to get you, give you the edge? And he said not a lot of people had any answers for you. Not a lot of people use tech and apps nowadays.
No, I think a lot of people might see it as like it's a commitment. If you download an app, you don't want to get married to it and then have like loads of apps on the go. So I think a lot of people like to live quite streamlined.
Yeah,
I quite like that, to be honest. I'm probably similar. I live quite streamlined. If I try something, I'll give it a good go. But if I don't use it for a couple of weeks, months, I'll just get rid of it.
Okay. I think apps are phenomenal. When there's one that I really get attached to, I seem to go all in it, and it does really help me. And I think I'll talk about it more as we get to certain apps I've got written down here, but they're almost like accountability for me. I need accountability to myself, to something, and there's one that I will go into, which is Strava, but it's great because you can see who's staying consistent, you can see who's doing it frequently. I'm not going to name any names, but I've got a couple of friends who I know got into running, and I've not seen anything on there for a while, and I'm thinking, they've not been posting much.
Might not be charging the phone, mate.
Yeah. We've heard all the excuses. All right, do you want to start? Should we start with food? I think that's probably the best one to start with. So, apps that are going to give you the edge when it comes to nutrition. Now, we've got to mention the big one, haven't we?
Yeah.
Of all the kind of calorie counting apps out there, and there's a lot of them, isn't there?
Yeah.
MyFitnessPal is probably the most used and most common one, I would say. Having an app that tracks my food intake personally has been a bit of a lifesaver. I am organic by nature, there's no doubt about it. And if I don't kind of have something telling me that that's all I need, I find it very difficult to switch off the hunger button. Like, it just doesn't happen. And there's a strong correlation with me tracking frequently on these apps and how in shape I am. I've known that for kind of a long time now. I mean, I've been tracking on MyFitnessPal on and off for maybe over 10 years, I would say. But I totally appreciate this isn't the best approach for everyone. I've coached people who straight away, it's clear, should not be using those kind of apps. There can be obsessive tendencies around these kind of apps where you're tracking your food quite religiously. You're getting very into the numbers. And if you know you're heading down that path, then you may want to track potentially a few days in the week, 1 week a month, or potentially find different methods for keeping tabs on your calories and macros. One thing that isn't associated with MyFitnessPal or other calorie counting apps, but probably should be, is the education side of things. I think it's phenomenal how much you can learn about food and numbers and calories, how much proteins, fats, carbs are in certain foods, how much salt, sodium things have in them. Did I tell you about the old lady that I saw using MyFitnessPal in Aldi?
No, I'm curious.
So I get these high protein meals from Aldi in the freezer section, and as I was heading over to that section, I could see an old lady and she was getting these protein meals out there. I was thinking, my first thought was she's getting them for a grandson or something like that. She must have been in the 70s easily. And as she pulls it out, she whips her phone out, and I can see her it looks like she's scanning it in. I didn't want to peer over her shoulder, so I kind of just stood to the side of her, pretending I was doing something else, and had a little look, and it was very clear she was on the same app, MyFitnessPal. And I couldn't help myself. I just said, "Oh, you scanning foods into MyFitnessPal there?" And she said, "Oh yeah, I am. I've got a bit of a calcium deficiency, and my doctor has told me I need to have foods with more calcium and more protein in there to stop things like osteoporosis and stuff like that." I said, "That's fascinating." I said, "So how regularly are you using it?" She said, "Pretty much every day. But I'm just kind of learning about nutrition," she said, which I thought was a fascinating phrase. Someone who's in the 70s learning about nutrition, as if she hasn't been consuming foods her whole life. But she obviously has, and not knowing what she's putting in the body, not knowing what's in certain things and the quantities. And it just showed me that it doesn't really matter what stage or what age you are in your fitness journey. There's always a use and there's always a need for more knowledge around nutrition. And I think something like MyFitnessPal, although it is setting limits and giving you guidelines on how much to consume, it is also a massive education tool, I think.
Shane Nugent said it really well, exactly what you've said about there's a lot of people who they eat, 3 or 4 meals a day, but they've never really given much thought as to what does that consist of. We all eat to survive, we all eat for pleasure, but not actually understanding what you're putting into your body is quite fascinating. And there will be people out there who are obsessed with getting 3 or 4 sessions in a week in the gym, but maybe they're not really giving the nutrition enough thought.
Yeah.
And we do that every day. So it goes to show that level of education is important.
Yeah. It shocks me because obviously we're entrenched in it every day. Yep. We're giving out advice around it. We've spent a lot of our lives learning about nutrition. But people do go their whole life, this lady, obviously up until her 70s, not really knowing what high protein foods are. But I thought it was great. I thought it was really good. Yeah.
Oh, and why would she know? You sort of think what did the world look like 30, 40 years ago?
Of course, yeah.
How would you track your food?
Yeah.
Pen and paper.
Yeah,
you have to. Do you know what I mean? So it's so convenient. And why do you think MyFitnessPal is so popular right now?
I think compared to other apps, I think it's a lot more easily accessible. I think it's user friendly, much more than other apps. I've used some other things like NutriCheck is one.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of other apps, but I know there's obviously quite a few.
Yeah.
It's just the one that I've always pushed on clients as well. So when we check in with clients, I've always found that it's easy to add people as a friend. They've just got to change a few settings and I can access it from my computer. Again, I think it's got a great database of foods as well. So when you're scanning things in, it's more likely to come up with those foods compared to other apps. But yeah, I do think for some people, it is the game changer when it comes to keeping tabs on the quantity of food that you're consuming. But for other people, it's a little bit of a hit and miss. They get too into it and they get too pent up and they get stressed out and they're changing their style of eating too much to fit certain numbers. So you've got to know where you lie in that kind of spectrum.
Like you said, there's other apps out there. I've experimented with a few. There's one called Fat Secret, which is pretty good.
Okay.
There's another one called Chronometer, which is also pretty good.
I've not heard of either.
But again, the database for MyFitnessPal is by far, like, it's just massive.
The best.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
For sure.
It's brilliant.
I agree.
But
okay. Any more apps on your side when it comes to nutrition?
I regularly use one called Yuka. That's Yuka. Yuka basically can scan foods, and I think it's beauty products as well, like wellness products, and it'll basically give you a score based on how, I want to say, how natural it is, like how maybe harmful it is. And that's been a really interesting educator for me in particular, especially when it comes down to like endocrine disruptors. Like, there's only micro dosing with these things, but if you imagine if you've got 10 or 20 products that you use in a day, or foods that you eat in a day that could potentially disrupt your hormones and that sort of stuff, it's fascinating to look at. Again, I'm very curious with these things, so I like looking at it, but, and I will say, it's not for everyone. That could tip someone over the edge if someone's a little bit on, say, the orthorexic side, where all they want to eat is whole natural stuff. They won't go anywhere near processed food. This is going to be a terrible app, just because it's probably going to highlight the negative side of food processing. But for someone who maybe does want to, I don't know, go a bit more natural, a bit more whole food, it's quite interesting to see. Like I said, I found varying degrees of success with it, but Yuka, I think the app logo is like a carrot, which is random. But no, it's really good.
Cool.
I like that.
I really like the idea of that, because not a lot of people are aware of what is processed and what's in certain foods. And I think I have heard this, and what it does is it gives you an idea of what the harmful ingredients are, why they're harmful. It gives you explanations around, you know, why we should be avoiding these things and what the kind of potential short and long term consequences are.
Yep.
Again, education around food. Anything that does that is all kind of. And what I would recommend is, if that sounds like something you're wanting to push, download the app.
Yeah.
Go around your cupboards, go around your fridge, and just see how processed some of your foods are. Some people don't need to even do that to know that, okay, my diet isn't great. I know a lot of the foods are processed. But even if you think it is okay, maybe with some bad stuff in there, go around and check kind of the quality of your foods and actually how good it is. We don't want to go down. God, I'm actually going to say his name again. I can't believe this.
Oh no, I know you're going to do.
I'm not even going to say his full name, Mr. Mr. EA, shall we say?
EA, let's say Mr. EA.
He obviously is bang on the, all processed food out. And we're not about that. No. We know processed food has its place, but if you are kind of concerned about it, an app like Yuka can be fantastic for that, for sure.
One of my questions were like, how do they get away with selling this stuff when we know it's got harmful things in?
Yeah.
And it's very much like voting with your feet sometimes and saying, well, I'm just not going to buy it. You know, if there's something where you go, well, why would I have that? Or like, can I spread some awareness about how maybe harmful this product is or this product is? Not from a Mr. EA perspective, but again, if you vote with your feet and you think, well, this is harmful, this could be harmful for my child as well, like, odds are vote with your feet and just shop elsewhere. You know, find alternatives where you have that peace of mind that you're not doing any harm to yourself, your body, your child. Yeah.
I think kids in the mix as well is a big one, because it is really easy on days where you're stressed out and just to get the beige foods out and not have a lot of kind of colour and nutrients in there. Which probably leads me really well into my next app, actually, which is Paprika. I think I mentioned this to you a couple of weeks back. It wasn't on air, I think it was an off-podcast conversation we had. And this is a brilliant app for planning out meals as a family. I've got two people who I know who are a mum and a dad who use this app literally every day, every week. And whenever I check over their food, it's shocking how good and how well thought out it is. And it's all down to this app, Paprika. For families who want to eat well together, but also want to get in shape together, Paprika is a bit of, I think, an unknown gem. It has some really cool features. One of my favourites being that you can copy and paste the web address of a recipe that you find online. So you can go onto like BBC Good Food Guide. You can go onto any website that has recipes. You copy the web address, paste it into Paprika, and it will extract the ingredients, it will extract the method, and it will even write you a shopping list with the exact ingredients and amounts based on meals that you've picked out for that week. So it's actually got a calendar in there, and you can plan weeks and months in advance. So if I was to plan out a whole month worth of meals, I could do Monday to Sunday for 4 weeks. I click on week 1, and it gives me the ingredients a shopping list for week 1, and I can go to the supermarket, I can buy that stuff, and it's going to cook me all the meals that I've put into my breakfast, lunch, evening meal. You can go as in depth with it as you want. The 2 clients I know who use this only do it for evening meals. They kind of they sort their own breakfast out. They have their own lunch. They might do combined lunches occasionally, but it'll give you macros. It'll give you calories. It'll let you know what's in these meals, and it's a really good all-in-one place.
That sounds amazing. I think when you first told me about it, that's probably the power of, I don't want to just want to say AI, like processing power, but artificial intelligence is getting much more intelligent in a sense that it can extract things like that and just save you doing it. Because
Absolutely.
How many times do you wake up on like a Sunday morning and you think, I fancy something different for breakfast, and you go on BBC Good Food and maybe you find some nice like breakfast egg muffins or whatever. I'm going to make these from scratch, and you're missing 3 or 4 things. Ingredients.
Yeah, exactly.
It is annoying, and even just from an education point of view for kids as well. Imagine that variety as a kid. Just you've always got different textures, flavors, all sorts coming through.
Yeah,
I think that's wicked.
Yeah, and what one of the couples do that I coach is they have the same meals. So they'll plan out a month of meals, and they'll have everything the same on Monday, everything the same on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for 4 weeks. So it also makes it really easy. They can sometimes do the same shop every week for 4 weeks, which also makes it really simple. They know what they're looking for, they know what they're buying, and then the month after, they'll do a completely different set. So I can't recommend Paprika enough. The only caveat to Paprika is it does cost £5. It's a one-off payment. It's not like a monthly subscription, which actually for me I really like as well. I don't want to get tied into paying for an app 10 years down the line and I've rarely used.
Yeah.
This is a £5 one-off payment, and you. I sound like a word from now. I feel like I'm trying to sell it to people.
I mean, we'll take it. If you've got a code Paprika, we'll take it.
We should have contacted somebody that I've done with beforehand, but yeah, it is. I love that aspect of it, and then you've got it for. You can basically have it for as long as you need. You can also, as well. So if I bought it and you bought it, I can send meals to you. We can share it, and I can show you, and I can share my monthly rota with you. So if we were a couple, let's say, this is going down a weird path now.
I mean, lucky me.
We can share each meals basically. So I can show you what I've got planned. You can actually then make adjustments to it. And it's a real kind of connected app as well. You can get everyone involved and on board.
Mine wandered then, mate. What side of bed are you sleeping at?
I'm gonna say something extremely crude then, but I'm not gonna. Let's
leave it there.
It's a parental podcast.
Yeah, but we'll save it for after. Yeah, to be fair, it's funny you should say that about Paprika, because me and Amy use Notes, Apple Notes.
Okay.
And we share them. I know we've done it a couple of times where you share notes for.
I think that's probably the most common way of doing it, isn't it, nowadays?
But having like a precursor of something that does that, because at the minute we just have to go through the cupboards and be like, right, we think we're going to have this, open a few cookbooks, let's have this. Whereas actually, if you see something cool on Instagram or like, you can copy that, and
that's it.
Yeah, I think that's amazing, and it'll probably save us a lot of time and a lot of stress, to be honest.
And these meals get saved in like a database of recipes, so you can go back and you can scroll back through, months and months of recipes that you've tried, and there's some that you forget. Like, Amy's cooked some things that are absolutely bang on, and I thought, when she didn't cook that, she only cooked that once, but I would like to try it again. And we did HelloFresh for a while. I'm sure you could copy some of the HelloFresh style meals, Gusto meals. We've got literally a pack of like that thick, full of sheets of just HelloFresh recipes that we've not really come back to, and it'd be good to put all those on the app. So I'm in the process of kind of shifting us onto Paprika and trying to get Amy on board with it.
I feel like Paprika's best reps done well there. Well done, mate.
I know, and I'm not getting any commission, which is the worst thing about it. Any more apps when it comes to nutrition that you've got written down?
Not so much nutrition. I think a lot of mine from now are very fitness related. They're very life, stress management, that sort of stuff.
Cool. All right. Shall we move on to training apps then next?
Obviously, you've mentioned Strava, which we'll more than likely tap into in a bit. I love a good Tabata timer.
Do you?
I really do. I think it's from my time at Firehouse Fitness where you almost had to have that on demand, like you had to have it ready to go. So I'm pretty well versed in Tabata timers. I just really like them. I think they're really customizable. If you get it right, it's really good to do. In the past, I've trained with a lot of people doing Metcons, like in terms of my friends, bringing them in, setting up a timer and just like playing it over your music. So we could have some music playing, but then the Tabata timer would give us a countdown or a count up, if you like, saying, look, we've got 5 seconds before we go again. I love Tabata timers.
Which one do you use the most?
I think it literally is called Tabata timer.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Cool. It's a really, really good one. There's a few other ones out there which I've toyed around with, but the one that's actually titled Tabata timer is pretty good.
I was going to write that down actually, but didn't. But I'm glad you've actually mentioned it, because the one I use is called Interval Timer, and I don't think enough people use this. And even if it's not specifically for Tabata, because Tabata is a very specific style of training.
Yep.
These are just kind of different HIIT/interval style trainers. But you can use these even in your own workouts if you're lifting weights. How many people take too long in between sets, in between exercises? You know, if you can have something that's actually timing you through the exercises, through your reps, you can press it. People do occasionally just use a timer on the phone, which is also absolutely fine. But I think having a rhythm and a pace and an intensity to the workout is really important, and a timer boosts all those.
100%. The other one on my side was something like a posture checker, which for PTs is brill. The audience might not be aware of something called plumb lines, where it sort of gives you like the optimal posture and lines to look for. Actually being able to see that from someone's, even if it's like the before pictures and that sort of stuff, just being aware and sort of saying, right, here's where your posture was before, here's where it is now. Or even just for us identifying a static image and using that as a posture checker. You could do this right now. You could download the posture checker app, upload a picture of you, and just see like maybe how out of whack you might be.
Yeah.
I trained someone who had scoliosis, and that was by far one of the most drastic posture changes that I saw, because we got them on a lot of single leg, single arm work. To the naked eye, it didn't look too obvious, but then when you got them on that posture checker app, it would quite telling.
Yeah.
How unsymmetrical they were.
This is the app where you basically take a photo of yourself, you upload it, and then it highlights kind of all the key joints, bones, and how they all align, and it'll give you like green, red, orange lines based on what's in place, what's out of place. It can actually give you advice on like what needs to move around, and does it give you information about like exercises you can do? Does it go that far?
I think if you go for like a paid premium version, it will do.
Okay.
Or you can just talk to one of us.
Yeah, exactly.
or just have a chat, and look, there's plenty of research you can do yourself, so I'm very keen to keep things either low cost or free completely. So
absolutely.
if you're going to do the free version, there's options that you can do with that.
Yeah. If you're working with a coach, it'd be a great thing to go to them with and say, look, I've taken this, what do you think? And they'd be like, okay, that's just really cool that you're doing your own research, and they'd be more than happy to help and give you some advice around it.
Yeah.
But if it's telling you that, look, your shoulders are too far forward, you've got a little bit of internal rotation across the front of your body, just Google ways to improve internal rotation, how to get more kind of pinned shoulder blades back, how to stand a bit taller, how to, if it's telling you that you've got some kind of pelvic tilt, anterior, posterior, how do I correct that? What are the kind of good exercises for that? So there might be a little bit of work to be done on your part, but this app will highlight the changes in posture that needs to be made.
I think it probably highlights what questions you can ask to get the help that you need. So like you said, if you can say, oh, this app says I've got an anterior like pelvic tilt, can somebody help me with that? What does that mean? How can I improve it? Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, brilliant. Let's go on to Strava then. The one that I've kind of been using a lot more recently. Strava is massively associated mainly with running, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a brilliant it's a brilliant app for tracking runs, but you can do bike rides, hikes. They're probably the main three, I would say. It tends to work through its kind of really advanced GPS system, but you can track like your workouts on there. You can track swims, you can track walks, you can even track like rounds of golf, skiing, those things. The list of things you can log is pretty vast, to be fair. It can also become a bit of a social media for exercise, I found. When you connect with friends and family, it gives you kind of a timeline style feature where it showcases your friends and family's best workouts, activities, which you're able to then give thumbs up for, which is colloquially known as kudos on the app. You can also comment on them and give them kind of a little bit of a G up if you want. It's just a great all-round app, I think, for staying connected with people. Now, I totally appreciate that not a lot of people will want to connect with other people. They might want to keep it more in-house. You can make your profile private if need be. But again, it's like accountability for me. It's a way of me logging each week a certain amount of exercises and runs. It shows me how much I've done in terms of distance, and it's nice to get to like a Saturday, Sunday, and it'll give you an overview of how much you've done, how hard you've worked. There's a lot more features available once you go for the paid stuff. So probably my favourite feature, I would say, is the ability to find new routes. So I've been on holiday somewhere, or I've been travelling around the UK, Didn't do so much running in Wales, but if I was, I definitely would have gone on Strava and searched what are some good running routes around here. And it will give you ratings for these routes. It will give you a level of difficulty. It will let you know how much dirt there is on the route, how muddy it can get. It'll let you know the type of terrain. Is it tarmac? Is it stones? Is it kind of through the woods? Obviously, these are all part of the paid features, but it can give you a really good insight. It even gives you photos. If someone's been on the route and taken some snaps and attached it, it'll show you those photos of what to expect from a visual point of view, which is quite cool because I'll come across a run and I see some of the images and I'm like, whoa, you get some really nice views on that run. I'm definitely doing that one. I want to see that. I went to Mijas in Spain earlier this year with the missus, and that was one of the main apps that I used while I was away to try and find some runs, because I ran pretty much every day and I wanted to find a new route and challenge myself in different ways, and Strava was awesome for that. I'll also get into a secret. I use Strava to map out the R5 run. So I have my own run club, R5 Run Club, and we do a run in different parks around Sheffield. But what I'll do is, before I put a notification out to say we've got this run coming up, I'll go to the park where we want to run, and I can actually draw on the map a line of how long I want that route to be, so I can extend it. It can give me a distance, it can give me elevation gain, it can give me estimated time based on like how fast I run, and I can then send that to other people when we do the run, so they know what to expect in terms of distance. I think that's a really cool feature. I've been on runs in the peaks where I don't really know exactly where we are or what to do, so you can zoom in, you can see like a more of a map view, or you can see like a live view where it shows you actually the roads and things like that, and you can map out as far as you want to go with these kind of manual route mapping. Yeah.
Any app that can pre-warn you about hills, especially in Sheffield, is a friend of mine.
Yeah,
because honestly, trying to find a flat route in Sheffield is awful.
It is a nightmare, but I actually love Sheffield for that reason. Because when you go to other cities, it's just that easy, isn't it?
It's just that
that easy, for sure.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
But I love Strava. I think it's great. I think it's so nice to connect with, like, I even connected with like a girl who I went to high school with, who I didn't even know. I haven't been in contact with for years, didn't even know ran. We started following each other on Strava. We've been having a little chat about kind of events they've got coming up. She's asked me for some tips as well around certain things. So it's amazing how it does put you in contact with like old people that you've known. And I think it taps into like your phone book, it taps into your social medias, it'll give you suggestions on people. But I've got all my clients on there. It's a great way me also kind of being a bit sneaky and keeping tabs on them, and if I know someone's doing a lot of hard work, I'll give them some kudos, and it's great. I really love Strava.
You mentioned there about keeping track of things. I think a really understated benefit of Strava is you can actually compare your last performance on that run compared to now.
Yeah.
So like, I always remember when I was training for half marathon, I used to use Strava a lot, and I'd do a run and like I'd check and I'd be like, 3 months ago I was like 5 minutes slower on this. And then when I actually got the PB on there, I thought I'll just be cheekier and put recovery run, even though I've just smashed a PB. So anytime, if you follow me on Strava and you see a recovery run, it means I've just hit a PB.
I like that.
It's just
playing it down.
Yeah, playing it down. Yeah.
But yeah, you can also, again, it depends how much of a comparison you want to go down the route of. But when I go on the desktop site, if I go on someone's profile, it will show me their best PBs and my best PBs side by side.
Nice.
I don't think it does it so much on the phone or tablet version.
Yeah.
But on the desktop version, when I go on, it'll give you like some of the stats for the week, how many runs they've done, how many cycles they've done. Again, this can all be made private if you prefer to do that kind of format. But I like just knowing what people have done, and sometimes I'll come across someone's profile that I know. I'll check them out, see what they've been doing, and I'm like, bloody hell, they're quite quick. These, look at the 5k time, look at the 10k time. It's pretty sharpish that. And then you look at kind of what are the longest distances they've done, and some people are doing like 50, 60, 70 kilometres, and you're like, wow, they've got something in the tank, these lads.
I think a lot of people play down the ability for apps to also link to desktops as well. So like, I'm a huge fan of Google Sheets. A lot of my clients are on Google Sheets just because, number one, it's very easily customizable from a coach's point of view. But for them to use, I can tailor make that app to have as many tabs as they want with relevant information. I can filter down the check-in tab. So from a coach's perspective, I really like Google Sheets for tracking progress and leaving comments in little cells. It's basically Google's version of Excel.
Yeah.
And I really like it how it's free, it's easy to use. You know, it links with my business domain as well, so it's just dead easy.
I'm not sure if I told you, but I had a client who was an absolute whiz on Excel.
Yeah, he did.
And he basically made his own MyFitnessPal. And he had his whole database of foods that he'd had, entered the macros, calories for. He was quite on it, I think, with like data protection.
Yeah.
And I remember when I told him initially, like, you know, we're going to use MyFitnessPal, he laughed and went, I won't be using MyFitnessPal.
I'll make
he
my
goes,
own.
I've been over the data protection stuff. It ain't good. But he had already started logging his own foods on an Excel spreadsheet. He kind of took it to another level. But that was pretty cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for people who spend time behind a desk as well, that's quite you don't have to be on your phone for everything. You can just have maybe a tab open, you know,
Yeah.
little looming in the wings if you like. You can say, I've just had a bagel and 3 eggs, you know, just whack it in your spreadsheet.
Yeah, it's
I like
easy to
that.
do.
Yeah, I like that.
For sure. Next one on the training stuff. Do you want to go on to your next app?
Yeah, so training wise, I don't know how to actually track this as a class as a training one, but you mentioned ice bath stuff earlier. I've used the Wim Hof app quite a bit for like the guided breathing side of things, and for anyone who's massively turned off by that stuff, I mentioned in the sleep episode about something called Yoga Nidra, and Wim Hof, it's a very strange way of breathing when you do that right. I don't know if you've tried it before.
No, I have, yeah, for sure. I'm aware of his methods, and
Yeah.
I've tried to incorporate it. So much so that when I'm really cold now,
Yeah.
I'll find myself doing a bit of a Wim Hof breathing method just to warm myself up.
Yeah, they call it hypoxic breathing, which you're putting yourself in. What's the word?
Oxygen overload.
Yeah, so which is absolutely incredible. I've been on a workshop with, I've shouted them out a few times now, but Mr. and Mrs. Ice Bath, who I think are based at Neep's End, they're incredible.
Never heard of this.
Have you not?
No,
Mr. and Mrs. Ice Bath.
No, you've never
They're
told me about this.
Unbelievable, Radic and Charlie. They're
Okay.
absolutely insane.
Mate, do tell.
in terms of the
Elaborate
methods.
on this.
So a couple of years ago, I was trying to get control of the arthritic condition that I've got.
Yeah.
So I looked into the Wim Hof stuff, and I thought, I wonder if there's any workshops in Sheffield. And Radic and Charlie popped up, who were called Mr. and Mrs. Ice Bath, and I'm like, we're going to get along. So I went and did a day workshop with them, and they did the really extensive Wim Hof breathing, which when you do it in a group was pretty strange actually. We did like 4 rounds of the breathing. And best way I can describe it is you have oxygen overload. So when I'd basically not emptied my lungs but breathed out, because of the oxygen overload that I had, I went nearly 3 minutes without taking an in breath,
Whoa.
which was mad. And they sort of like, that's the limit. We need to like get you out of this, and sort of
So you
brought me up
done
again.
so much oxygen uptake
Yeah.
that you could actually hold your breath for 3 minutes.
Yeah, and I did that
That's
for like
phenomenal.
pain management essentially, and I still do it to this day occasionally, and it's unbelievable. And then they finished off the day with ice bath stuff, which were unbelievable. Just getting everyone in the group, me being me, I went first. You know, no one was putting their hand up, so I said, you know, sod it, I'll go first. And such like a really good feel good thing, and yeah, so I highly recommend them.
Do you continue to do ice bath stuff, or is it something you do?
If I need it, if I feel like I need it,
Okay.
if I'm not recovering well, or I don't know, I feel a bit stressed out, I will try it, even if it's just cold shower, and just knowing how to start, like 15 seconds finish with a cold shower is a nice place to start for a lot of people. And again, if you are someone who says, I don't think I could do that, you probably need it. Because
That'd be me.
Yeah, because you overcome a lot of mental barriers, and the Wim Hof app sort of guides you through that breathing. I'm a big fan of things where it just guides you through stuff, especially Wim Hof in his really cool like Amsterdam accent. That was quite cool.
I'm like the opposite of that. You know why you were like saying, just go a bit colder for the last 15 seconds. I'm trying to get as hot as I can until I scald myself. How hot can I get this shower before it actually starts giving me 3rd-degree burns?
Yeah.
That's how much I like the heat. But I have done that in the summer. More so, I would say, when it's boiling hot outside.
Yeah.
You come back from a sweaty gym session, a cold shower feels really good. I might push the boundaries a little bit and see how cold I can take it. But I'm not about to go outside and put my hose on and start showering outside like I've seen a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I can't remember, there was a guy that I was following online, and every morning he had basically an outdoor shower, and it was just connected to the cold tap.
Yeah.
So he would just turn the cold tap on, and it would come out, and he'd just stand underneath it for like 10, 15 minutes.
That's hardcore, that.
Have his shower outside, basically.
Yeah.
I was like, that is super hardcore.
I know Rory Finch does it from South Yorkshire Networking the company with Joe Patterson as well.
Yeah, yeah.
He does it as well. And
Okay.
yeah, Rory loves it. Like, he speaks a lot about the benefits. If anyone's ever met Rory, he's got mad energy. Like, all the time. He's high on life, basically. And I think he puts a lot of the success down to that, because nobody wants to do it. No one wants to do it. But he says there's something powerful about doing something that your brain says don't do it, and you do it anyway. There's something really powerful in that.
Especially doing that first thing in the morning,
Yeah.
when you're just waking up, a bit sluggish. If you shock the body, it's like, whoa, we're
Yeah.
awake now. And like I said, when I went into the city in Wales, I felt charged up. When I came out of that city,
Yeah.
I felt on top of the world.
Yeah.
It was a really, really cool feeling. And like I said, I can see why it's addictive for sure. So it was the Wim Hof app you were recommending, was it?
Yeah, there's a paid version, or there's a free version that just guides you through.
Cool.
Which is, I like it. It's quite cool. Yeah.
Brilliant. I guess the other one from like a more of a practical training standpoint is the Nike training app. Have you come across this?
Yeah, I know there's a few like workouts on there, guided workouts. Is that right?
Yeah,
Or,
Nike's actually got a few different apps. It's got like a running one, and it's got what's called the Nike Training Club. It accommodates for a wide range of goals, from building muscle, strength, fitness, even down to like yoga workouts. For those wanting obviously like a steadier, slower session to improve flexibility and mobility. You can schedule workouts directly into your calendar and get reminders, which I think was quite good. So you can handpick workouts that they've got, piece them into your week, a little bit like Paprika for the meals, but for your workouts. So you can map a week, a month in advance. Most importantly for parents, there's both workouts at home and in the gym. So if kids and work end up throwing a bit of a spanner in the works, there's alternatives, and you can sub things in pretty quickly. And you can also connect with coaches through the app if you want a little bit more guidance. So obviously, Nike's a massive company. It's got a lot of trainers involved, and you can speak with them directly. Whether you can get sessions from them, I don't know. But there's advice, and you can ask questions, which I think is a good feature of the app.
Amazing. No, I mean, honestly, I love anything like that, to be honest. I think anything where you can track your progress and benchmark it, and even just map your training out. A lot of people would benefit from forward planning the training. So, yeah,
I think that there's so many of these apps out there. Like, all you have to do is type in workout app into Google Play or the App Store, and you're going to get a good 50, 60, 70 apps come up. Of all the ones that I've looked over and had experience with, the Nike Training Club seems to be a little bit more in tune with the genre of each category and what the best workouts are for people within those categories. There's a lot that kind of specialise just in building muscle or just in weight loss. This one's really got a wide range of things that you can go and do. So I'd say of all the ones, the Nike Training Club is a really cool app to use.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely pumped with money as well, aren't they? So it's going to be pretty good.
They've got a good financial backing.
Yeah, you can say that.
I've also probably got to give a bit of shout out to my own app as well. It is unfortunately only available to paying clients here at R5, but it works essentially on the same premise where I tailor programs to people, put them inside their app. They can work out in their week and month when they're going to do these things, and it works in very much the same way. They can have these apps, the R5 app, to go through their workout, have their schedule and training program all laid out. The app comes with videos as well with each exercise, so you can have kind of detailed breakdowns of what each exercise is, and it can refresh your memory, because the amount of times I'll go over exercise with a client, or you're the same, and you'll say, go and do a glute bridge, and like, what the hell's a glute bridge? I can't actually remember what that is. Just a quick video with a very quick breakdown of the key cues can sometimes refresh your memory. So but again, that's obviously unfortunately only open to clients here at R5.
I think for anyone who's not quite there yet, to maybe reach out to myself or Ryan. If I'm going to encourage someone to do that themselves and record themselves, maybe that's something that I try and do with clients. I say, listen, do you mind if I record you, do this, and then I'll send it you across on WhatsApp. You can actually send yourself that video on WhatsApp, which I think is an amazing addition for people. So if you are someone who just wants to analyze your technique and you record yourself, send it yourself. And then I think having that video analysis is quite cool.
I'm really happy you've mentioned that, because there's not that I'm aware of, an app that like critiques technique. Maybe we've got a business idea there, mate, potentially. But I do think that from a trading standpoint, the execution of exercise is so important. And if you ever think that something's slightly off, don't be afraid to record yourself. I think we've spoken about this before, like having that ability to just be the kind of out of body experience of yourself looking in and saying, right, what's not right there? Because when you're doing a back squat or a deadlift, it's very hard to know when you're in it what's not quite going the way you want.
Yeah.
When you look back at the video, the amount of times I've done it and gone, oh, it's very clear that like I'm falling into my toes, I'm not sat back on my heels, I've got a bit of knee valgus, my knees are pushing together. There's certain cues that kind of you can't always pick up on when you're in it, and that weight's quite heavy. When you step back and you look at a video, you can be quite self-critical, I think.
I've just noted down a business name, which I'm not going to say on the podcast, but I'll run it by you afterwards, Ryan, see what you think. But
okay,
yeah, for potentially the adding your videos to the
okay, interesting.
the app.
All right, well, this business idea is already underway. By the sounds of things.
Reconvene. No, to be honest, mate, a lot of my I suppose final comments and final notes on this now are very much geared towards life and just, I suppose, helpful tips that are going to help people with apps, really. I don't know if you've got any more training ones that you want to go through before we...
Yeah, there is one more. It's called Recover Athletics. Ooh. I did a little bit of a social media post about this a good few months back. It's by Strava. So right. Strava, I'm sure, was getting a lot of users who would come onto the app, start running, get injured, have niggles crop up, and then couldn't use their app for running or biking or whatever it was they were using it for. So... quite, I would say, cleverly of them, they've come up with a recovery app, and it is really, really good. I can't deny it. It's fantastic. So you basically download this app. It gives you an image of a body. You put on where you feel like is a bit of an issue, whether it's kind of a ligament issue, a muscle, a joint. You describe to them through a few questions exactly what it is that kind of you're feeling, and then they'll give you some exercises based on your answers and things that are going to really help you in your recovery. It's almost like your own kind of physio in a way, which I really like the idea of. Yeah. I have something similar that I send to clients, but it's more of a PDF generalized download. This I've used with clients when it comes to being a bit more specific to their individual needs. So Recover Athletics is fantastic for improving flexibility, recovering from injuries, and actually increasing your mobility as well if you really want to.
I'll be checking that out, mate.
Yeah, it's a brilliant app. Yeah, and again, it's free to use. Or is it free to use? Sorry, I don't want to speak out of turn there, because I've got the paid version of Strava. I think it comes free with that. I'm going to assume it's a similar scenario where certain features are free, certain features aren't free unless you pay for it. So probably should have been a little bit more research there. But Recover Athletics, I think that's definitely one you want to check out if you've got some niggles that you're dealing with.
Yeah. Oh, mate, that sounds class. Yeah, I think I'll be checking that out.
Yeah, for sure. It's a brilliant one.
Just wanted to sort of transition on to maybe some more stuff that can help parents, gym goers, just with life in general.
Awesome.
Now, a big pain point for me was when Teddy was born. Obviously, I couldn't read as much as I'd like to. Early days wasn't too bad because he just slept a lot, but now as a toddler, I really like reading, and the thought of sitting there with a book and reading through stuff is just non-existent anymore. So I come across something called Blinkist, if you've heard of this before.
I have. I've seen it crop up, but I've never explored what it actually is.
Even the free version is brilliant, but Blinkist sort of gives you summaries of books via, audio summaries, basically. So it'll essentially give you 15-minute summaries of a book, give you like the key take-home lessons, which can be useful in itself, but I've used it to determine whether or not to get the book or to listen to the full audiobook.
Great idea.
Amazing, because I've always said somebody can throw like key lessons at you, but it means nothing without context. So one of the books recently that I did was, I think it was Goggins' book, actually, because I thought, I don't know if Goggins is my guy. Like, it didn't really resonate with me, and I listened to key take-homes, and I'm like, that'd sound sick if there was a story attached to it.
Cool.
So I went ahead and
it's a bit like a blurb, but an extended audio version of a blurb where it breaks down kind of more things that maybe you want to hear.
So I think from a time-strapped parent perspective, you still learn stuff just from the summaries, but it depends what you use it for. I really like to listen to the summaries to then decide if I'm actually going to get the book or listen to the audiobook. So, I really like that.
Great advice there. Yeah, really good. Because again, this is all about education, bettering yourself. If there's, a mindset book that's really going to change how you think around training and nutrition, Blinkist might be a great way of kind of picking your top 5 and going, right, which one do I start with? Or which one do I leave out? And I really like that suggestion. Yeah,
and they do give you like a blink every day, like the daily blink.
Okay.
And it is just a random book. But if you put in your interests, it'll give you like random books maybe you wouldn't search for. I've got some absolute gems from that.
Have you?
Yeah.
Like recommended books. Brilliant.
Yeah, so it's really good.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I like that. The other one from, obviously I mentioned Audible there as well. First book's always free, so I've always said go and take advantage of that. The other app that I sort of had from a live perspective was Brain FM, which I mentioned to you before.
This, yeah, you have. Yeah, is this a frequency?
Yeah,
The
so
frequency
basically it's
one,
neurofeedback. So basically, if you've ever heard I think you described it as whale noises, when it's like, you have one frequency in one ear, one frequency in the other. And I've worked with a lot of people in the past who've got ADHD or certain, maybe they're on the spectrum somewhere.
Okay.
And depending on the level of intensity of those frequencies, it either, if they have a high frequency, it can put them into this hyper focus state.
Okay.
Or if they may be struggling to sleep, it can give you a different focus and chill you out a little bit.
Interesting.
It's incredible. I really, really like it. For anyone who's interested, just go onto YouTube and do some examples of Brain FM, because I think it's a fantastic app to use. Again, it's paid.
I've actually got on YouTube here some examples. Should we play one?
Shall we?
Just to
Yeah, go on. It might be rubbish through a speaker.
You're listening to Brain FM.
Here we go.
We mix neuroscience and music to guide your brain into peak mental states.
Podcast first, this mate.
This is a focus track, clinically proven in large-scale studies to
got a
increase
little beat to
focus
it.
There we go.
10 times when compared to normal focus music.
And then you'll hear it
Works
like,
best with headphones.
it gradually
So grab
builds.
a pair, settle in, and get ready for the most productive 30 minutes.
I'm liking
of
this
your
beat,
day.
man.
hypes you up, man.
I could get down to this. I'm delving onto this track.
Get ready.
The link
It's
in
free,
the
mate.
description below.
Free video there. This is a bit of you, isn't it?
This is just techno.
But there's something about like having it in each ear. You know
This is
what I mean?
David Blair.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. They're missing a market here. Calvin Harris on Brain
Let me go
FM.
forward a little bit.
Hang on. Oh, app.
Oh,
sorry.
it's an ad,
there we go.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it all like that, or is it?
So it gradually builds, if you know what I mean. So it sounds funky, doesn't it? And as far as I'm aware, Brain FM have like a full team who like they've always got new music coming out. They're always invested into the latest science.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And I think they do like a sleep version. They do obviously a focus version. What you're playing now.
I'm definitely gonna whack this on later while I'm doing some work. There's no doubt about that.
It's completely changed the way I work, if I'm honest.
I was expecting more whale noises. I wasn't expecting like a hardcore,
I thought you'd
funky little mellow minimal techno beat.
I thought you'd like that. But
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm sold, mate.
there you go. That's a podcast first there, mate. iPad
Actually, can't
interference.
wait to go and do some work now about that one. Cool. Any more apps that you've got written down?
I've mentioned it a couple of times, but the journaling app from just what's on iPhone, like
Yeah,
the prompts,
yeah.
the journaling prompt.
Yeah.
I like some of the questions it asks you. Very much like how's your day been, which is quite a simple one. But then it's like what was your biggest achievement today, or what can you do better with tomorrow? Some of the prompts that they get, it's just a nice little place where you can unlock it with Face ID and stuff, so you can literally slag your partner off in there. I've never done that, by the way, ever. And
Speaking from experience, mate.
and but yeah, you can do that, and it's just a safe place to jot down your thoughts. Really,
Cool.
One thing I would recommend is if you're going to use something like a journaling app, don't use it for just negative, because sometimes you can go back and read, and it's all just a negative trap. If you know what I mean, that's your
Yeah.
negative compartmentalized space that you've got.
Cool.
I always encourage people to capture the good moments as well. If you do something cool, you can attach pictures and videos there. Capture it, reflect on the good as well as the bad.
Brilliant.
And the average as well. I think it's Tim Ferriss who says his life goal now is to have really good Tuesdays.
Okay.
Because Tuesdays are a bit average, aren't they? Normally.
Yeah.
No one looks forward to a Tuesday.
No.
Whereas he says he wants the best Tuesdays possible. Like, how good is your average? And I just thought that was such a cool way of seeing things. And that's how he captures it, through journaling and capturing cool things that he does on a Tuesday.
Okay. Cool. So he documents specifically like his Tuesdays to make them a little bit more exciting. Cool.
Yeah, which I thought cool.
Look, anything Tim Ferriss does is pretty cool anyway, innit? You know what I mean? It's pretty cool life, that guy. I'd only written down training and nutrition things on my apps, but I love the fact that you brought to the table some more mindset, journaling, self-development apps there. That's really cool.
I think last couple of notes that I had were maybe just some tips for people how they can get the most out of their apps. So on, I think, any smartphone now, you can set app limits. So you can actually, it will shut down basically when you go over a certain time, which is quite useful. You can have wind down modes on your phone as well, which I'm a big fan of that. You know, gets to 9:30 every night, my phone just
Do not
shuts
disturb.
down. Yeah, just shuts down.
Absolutely.
You can also bookmark pages and sites. So I've done this with a few blogs, where if I come across a really good blog on like Safari, just an internet search, I will add that to my home screen. So it almost becomes an app, and it just takes me to a web page. So I've not got to search it; it'll just take me to the web page.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I think that what I will say as a kind of follow up to this is, if there's some apps today that you've really enjoyed and you think you'll get a lot of use out of, note them down, but maybe don't download them all straight at once, because sometimes when you get an influx of new apps, it's very hard to give everything to every app.
Yeah.
So write them all down, download one, explore it for the next week or so, see if it fits into your routine, see if it can help you in any way. If it doesn't, don't be afraid to discard it. It's absolutely fine. Not every app's going to bring massive amounts of benefit to you, but I wouldn't download them all straight at once.
Which one are you downloading first?
It's got to be the whale. What I thought was whale noises, but it's actually hardcore, not hardcore, minimal techno, shall we say?
Yeah, minimal techno workflow.
Yeah, love that. That should be the name of the app.
Yeah, we'll try that.
Brain FM is definitely that's the one I'm going to download for sure.
Mine's probably Paprika. Definitely going to check that out.
Yeah, cool, brilliant.
100%.
And guys, if you are going to try these apps, we'd love to know. Give us a shout out and let us know if there's any of these apps or things that you're going to add into your lifestyle and which ones do actually stick and bring you some value.
Yeah, and I'd always say, use the apps. Don't let the apps use you, because there are millions of pounds being pumped into these apps to keep you on them. So look, you control it, you set the limits, you set your timers, and you be in control of them.
Love that. Great advice. Close off there. Guys, thank you for joining us on the Fit Dads podcast. We will see you on the next one.
See you soon.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, love that. Brilliant.